to Mr. Mendez. But Mr. Mendez, you said
This is
you are
about
going to raise the issue that the court
APNU
does not
not
have
wanting to
jurisdiction
have
to hear
anyone seeing
Yulita
those
Moore's
SOPs, or GCOM's
application.
SOP they wanted to see.
So if the court does not have jurisdiction to hear Yulita Moore application, then why are we dealing with this issue of discovery? It will be waste of time if I come after the jurisdiction issue is completed and I find that I don't have jurisdiction. We would have wasted all the time on this discovery which has flown from Yulita Moore's application. So it was agreed that Mr. Mendez will file his arguments on jurisdiction by 2 o'clock tomorrow, and Yulita Moore lawyers will file a response by 2 o'clock on Thursday, and then we will come on Friday at 9:30 a.m. for our.
So only today the jurisdiction issue was raised?
Yes, today.
Why do you feel the court has jurisdiction to hear Yulita Moore?
No, but I don't wish to speak about
On
that yet.
Okay,
No.
okay.
So everything else pushed back.
Yes,
You were supposed to have
everything. We were not given an opportunity to respond because the jurisdiction issue has to be dealt with first.
All right, thank you.
Court to order the chief elections
Unfortunately,
officer
Mr.
to
Nandalo,
produce all the
they're not
statements of
interested
poll
in
his
discovery,
possession.
in
The
this,
basis of that application
disclosing
was
those
to assist the
SOPs,
court
and
to address the
you know,
issue of
they're not
controversy
interested because
which
they know they
erupts
have
or erupted
it will
from
show
the
that they were
returning
cheating in this
officer's
election.
tabulation of the Region 4 results. You know that the contention has been that the returning officer did not use the statements of poll to tabulate those results which he eventually declared as the purported results for Region number 4. We thought that it would be in the best interest of justice and it would be in the best interest of everyone to have not the returning officer statement of poll, but the statements of poll in the possession of the chief elections officer. These are statements of poll under the law that goes directly to the chief elections officer from the presiding officer at the close of poll. So that those statements of poll would have been not have been contaminated in any form or fashion by anything done by the returning officer. So we felt that those would have been the cleanest and most genuine statements of poll that can be used to resolve the issue of the controversy. Now, one would expect in ordinary circumstances that the chief elections officer, being part of an impartial body, being the Guiding Elections Commission Secretariat, and also being the statutory officer and the custodian of all documents in relation to the election, he would have been most anxious and most willing to allow his statements of poll to be scrutinized by everyone, including the court, in order to arrive at a solution to the controversy. Unfortunately, the chief elections officer takes a position that is totally inconsistent with that. The chief elections officer resists allowing his statements of poll to be used. And another important point is that the chief elections officer, by the arguments advanced, is on the side of Yulita Moore, which should not be. If there is an impartial party before the court, it should be the Elections Commission and the Chief Elections Officer. They are impartial parties. Yulita Moore, the nation knows, represents the APNU AFC's interest. I don't think anybody is fooled anymore with that camouflage. That mask had been removed. So you have Keith Lowenfield, the Chief Elections Officer of the country, taking positions in the court that are consistent with Yulita Moore, and Yulita Moore is resisting the court directing the CEO to produce the CEO statements of poll. And that by itself tells a whole story. So in the course of arguing, we had to point, because they raised the jurisdictional issue, Yulita Moore's lawyers raised the jurisdictional issue about whether the court can order the statements of poll. And then we countered with a jurisdictional issue ourselves. And we said, look, the court at some point in time, perhaps after the discovery hearing is concluded, will have to address its mind to whether it can entertain Yulita Moore matter, because that matter questions decisions made by the Elections Commission, and decisions made by the Elections Commission under the statute section 140 of the Representation of the People's Act is precluded from inquiry by any court. So you have a jurisdictional bar created in the Representation of the People's Act against a court inquiring into decisions made by GCOM. And Yulita Moore's entire case rests upon questioning or asking the court to overrule decisions made by GCOM and to inquire into how those decisions were made. And those things cannot be inquired into according to the Representation of the People's Act. So the court decided, look, because if the court determines that Yulita Moore's matter, that it has no jurisdiction to deal with Yulita Moore's matter, then the discovery application goes. Because the discovery application is made in the Yulita Moore matter, is connected to the Yulita Moore matter. So the court decides to hear the question of jurisdiction